Okay, well, good morning, everybody. We want to start on time. Hopefully, there'll be one or two more attendees that'll be able to join us in the next couple of minutes. But for the benefit of those that have joined us now, we'll start on time. My name's Mark Britton. I head up marketing for Crimson. Welcome to today's webinar, which is all about what's new in Microsoft Dynamics 365. Here on the call is Mark Cotton, practice lead for Dynamics 365 for Crimson. Welcome, Mark.
Morning.
Good morning. What we'll do is we'll try and make this a little bit interactive. Feel free to post your questions in the questions box through GoToWebinar, and I'll keep an eye out for those and submit any questions as we're working through this presentation. So what I'll do now is hand over to Mark Cotton, and you can tell us what's going on with Dynamics 365 at the moment then, Mark.
Great, thanks Mark. Okay, so for those of you on the call that don't know me, I'm Mark Cotton and I head up the CRM practice at Crimson. I've been working in the IT industry for about 32 years, which makes me feel terribly old. But importantly, I've been working with CRM for a very long time, kind of since version 1, but then we very soon decided to drop it. So realistically, I've been working with CRM since version 1.2, which is way back in 2003, which again surprised me when I reminded myself about that the other day. Okay, so we're talking about what's coming up in the October release of Dynamics 365. Microsoft have released a document that details all of the upcoming enhancements and features. It's a 238-page document, so it takes some reading, and a lot of it relates to things other than what we know as CRM. So there's Business Central stuff in there, there's some stuff about AX and some stuff about Power Apps, and the whole Dynamics suite of business application products. So what I've done for the purposes of this webinar is I've taken out from that document some of the things that I think are interesting, great new features, and some of the things that I feel we as Dynamics users need to be aware of and need to plan for in the coming months. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the unified interface. I recently attended the Microsoft World Partner Conference, they call it Inspire, and one of the things that was made very clear to us during that conference was that the unified interface will soon be the only way to go. And we were told, it was made very clear that any new solutions that we're building from today onwards, we build them with the unified interface being the interface that we build from and we train users on, because the day will come when the traditional interface as we know and love it today won't be available to us anymore. So the quicker we make the switch over to the unified interface, the better. One of the blockers for using the unified interface today, or actually yesterday, was that some features weren't available in it. So for example, I couldn't get any of my customers to use the unified interface because Advanced Find wasn't available. And Advanced Find is one of the killer features of Dynamics, and it's one of the things that users get excited about once they learn how to use it. And then interestingly, literally yesterday, Advanced Find suddenly became available in the unified interface, as did one or two other features. So very quickly, they're making it very easy for us to encourage our customers to use the unified interface. So looking at it, there's a screenshot there of the unified interface, and what's nice about it is it's a lot less white. So one of the criticisms that I often get about the screen designs in the traditional interface, and as you know, we can't do very much about it, is the oceans of white space that we get all over the place. So now what we're able to do is we're better able to clearly define the sections on the page. As you can see, there's I hope it's rendering well through on your screens. There's a sort of a white smoke, light grey background, and then the sections of the screen are in white. And of course, we have control over those colours as well. Also, you'll know the very welcome return of tabs. So one of the criticisms of today's interface, the traditional interface, is that you have to scroll up and down to get to the various tabs of information within the form. Now, finally, we've reverted back to something that I think we had in version 3, where we've got tabs going across the top again. So it's a lot less vertical scrolling up and down, and we can quickly jump to the tabs that give us the information we need.
So is this going to make it easier for your teams to develop in Denmark?
Well, actually, we still develop design the screens in exactly the same way as we do today. So the screen designer itself doesn't change. It's that is just about user experience. That's
Okay.
just about making it much. Since they took tabs away, we've cried to get tabs back again. So yeah, finally, Microsoft have given in and they've given us our tabs back again, and it's a very welcome return. So again. The unified interface and navigating with the tabs and various other things with it, it's similar in my mind to when Excel made the jump from the menu to the ribbon. And everybody was crying about, oh, we can't use Excel, we can't find this feature, we don't know how to do a search and replace, where's the data export thing, all of that stuff. And then very quickly, everybody got used to the new way of doing things in Excel. And then it was very difficult to go back to the old Excel. And the unified interface is very, very similar in that we as consultants now, we're using the unified interface all the time. And then when we have to go and visit a customer that's still using the traditional interface, we as consultants find it very difficult to go back to the old style of interface. So it's one of those things, at first it feels uncomfortable, but you very quickly get used to it. And I mean, I would imagine Microsoft have put millions of dollars into research and developing this interface, and it very quickly feels very comfortable. A couple of other things to note about it is the business process flow looks a lot more modern across the top. We have the idea of bus stops as you see in all sorts of websites now. You know, that you go onto Amazon and you look where your parcel is being delivered, they use this kind of thing. So it's very familiar looking with the bus stops for the process. And the menu is now vertical down the left-hand side of the page. And what you're able to do is you're able to expand that out so you can see what these menus are, what these items are with their description. But then very quickly you get to know what they are, so you can shrink that menu back down to just the icons, therefore giving you a lot more real estate space on your screen. So it's all about making the experience better. And the most important thing is you design the screen once through the customizations, and that screen works on the web, works on a tablet, works on the mobile device. So it's a very familiar interface across all devices. It basically, you design once, and that one interface will resize accordingly to the size of the screen that you're using.
Excellent.
And then another great feature, and again, it's for few of the people on the call, you'll know that we've implemented this for you already, and it's dependent option sets. So what do I mean by dependent option sets? This is where you might, for example, have an option set, so a pick list on the screen that enables you to choose country. And so you might choose England. And when you've chosen England in the country pick list, you then, of course, only want to see English counties in the county pick list. And we've done that in the past for many customers, and we've implemented it using JavaScript and XML. And that's okay. It's an okay solution, and it's got us by, but it's a bit codey. And then, when customers want the option sets amending to add in, let's say, for example, France into the country option set, although we've tried to do it with XML and therefore make it easy for the customer to do it, we tend to find that we get a support call asking us to do it for them. What Microsoft have now implemented is dependent option sets that you can achieve just through configuration. So just like adding a new option into an option set, you're now able to set the dependencies between those as well. So you're able to set a relationship between England and Northamptonshire and England and Derbyshire. So yeah, you choose one and then you effectively get a filtered list of the others. So, sorry, it sounds like you were going to say something, Mark.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, yeah. So if some of the customers have already had that work done previously,
Sure.
will they need to now use the new functionality moving forward, or can they carry on with what they've got?
Yeah, it's a perfect question. Will they need to? Well, no, they won't need to, because I'll talk about updates, that the new way of that Microsoft are doing updates later on in the slides. But what Microsoft, of course, guarantee, as long as the customizations that have been done in a supported manner, then it will be backwardly compatible. So they will be able to carry on using the dependent option sets that we've done through code, through JavaScript and XML. But what I'd encourage them to do is move across into this new way of doing it. Because it's easier for them to then in the future add further option sets. So we need to have a bit of a conversation with the customers there to encourage them to take what we've done and redesign it this new way. Okay, so then another exciting enhancement to the application is LinkedIn integration. And of course, we all saw this coming. Microsoft bought LinkedIn, and they bought them for a reason. Well, largely, I think they bought them for the data. I heard on the radio the other day that data is the new gold, and you can certainly see that. So they bought LinkedIn because of who knows who, really, and the rich information that's in there. But of course, that data is really important to the sales process within a CRM system. So in this screenshot here that you can see in front of you, I'm looking at an opportunity for Contoso, and the opportunity relates to a chap called Bruce Davis. So Bruce Davis is the primary contact on the opportunity, and so what it's done is it's surfaced through the Sales Navigator. It's surfaced some information about Bruce. We can see where he's previously worked. We can see his education and so on and so forth. And you can click on the tab to see some icebreakers, so you can find out stuff about him. So you can have a chat, you find out what his interests are, and talk to him about golf, all that stuff that we know from LinkedIn. But also you can see integration there into the timeline. So the timeline is the social pane in old terminology. And you can see there that the timeline shows us things like tasks and appointments and emails as it does today, but also it shows us LinkedIn InMail as well. So all of the interactions that we've had with Bruce via InMail are also on the timeline.
So is it easy to bring that contact from LinkedIn then into CRM?
Yeah, to make him an actual CRM record. Yeah, so you can see on that screen there's a button called Save as Lead. So we can click on that button, and that will, as it suggests, save it as a lead, which then, not using normal CRM process would become a contact. What I did find out at the conference, or what was talked about at the conference, is this is just the start of the LinkedIn integration. So it may not do it yet, but when Bruce changes jobs and goes to work for somebody else, or changes job titles perhaps, we can see the day where all that data will synchronize into Dynamics, and so Dynamics will constantly be updated with Bruce's journey, Bruce's career path.
That day can't come fast enough, as far as I'm concerned. I think we all know salespeople's use of CRM at times.
Yeah,
trying to keep contacts up to date is always a challenge.
Yeah, and the only way to do it is to get Bruce to update his data himself, and the only place he's ever going to do that is LinkedIn. We all use LinkedIn. Yeah, absolutely. Another great thing that we can see here is we can, in the Sales Navigator on the right-hand pane, we can see who he knows, who Bruce knows, through his various degrees of separation. So we can perhaps get introduced to Bruce through one of those. Along similar lines around who Bruce knows, we have a really nice bit of artificial intelligence that's being introduced into Dynamics. And this is the Who Knows Whom module that we're going to see. And what this does is, rather than looking in LinkedIn to figure out who Bruce knows, this looks in our Exchange data. Okay, so what we can see here is I'm looking at a particular contact whose initials are CV, okay, and that has scraped my Exchange server and has found all email interactions and presumably appointments and, well, appointments I would imagine, not tasks, appointments that people in my organization have had with CV. And it's drawn a map of who CV knows. But not everybody is in here. I would imagine in our organization, CV has probably received emails from tens of people. What it has drawn is it's drawn a map of the people that communicate with CV the most frequently. And then, more important than that, what it's done is it's highlighted that Sai communicates with CV far more than anybody else. Okay, so if I want to get in contact, if I want to get an introduction into this chap whose initials are CV, I want to get Sai to introduce me. And so again, it's given me a little handy button here. It's called Get Introduced. And so that'll send a notification over to Sai and say, hey, I want to get introduced to CV. Can we get that sorted out? So this is using AI. And more we're seeing through all of the Microsoft apps how Microsoft's graphing technologies are scanning all of our data and constantly trying to find things to help us do our job. This is one such great example, and you'll see it all the time. You'll see that. For example, in Outlook at the moment, if you type in, hi Mark, please find attached this document, blah, 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 and then I forget to forget to attach the document, which of course I always do, Outlook pops up with a little message saying, hey Mark, I think you might have meant to attach a document to this. So there's AI around that. There's AI coming into Outlook that will, if I send an email to Mark Britton, and I normally also CC his colleague Will, if I forget to do that, it'll pop up with a little notification and say, hey, you normally also CC Will, do you want to do that? So they're using the data more and more around across the whole estate to try and figure out, to try and help us.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say I've seen the same in PowerPoint as well, where it offers design suggestions when you're trying to lay out a page. And I know at the innovation conference that we run every year, for the last couple of years, we've talked about the rise of digital assistants, and we're starting to see this. This is exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get on to that. The second point on this slide is exactly talking about what we might describe as digital assistants. But the top slide refers to the AI sales app that we're going to be getting in Dynamics shortly. And what this is, again, it's another case of it's scanning the data. So constantly scanning all of the data that we've got, and it will do things like, if we get an opportunity come into the system and it's in Northamptonshire and it relates to CRM, for example, it will know that usually the Mark Cotton is the guy that gets those Northamptonshire CRM opportunities, and so it will automatically suggest that this goes across to Mark Cotton. It will know if I'm on holiday and therefore might suggest that it doesn't come across to me, and therefore it will pick the next best. It will look at, as you can see, it will look at all the data around quotas and suggest that you've only got 11 days left to meet your target. So it's another one of those examples where it's constantly gathering all of the data and suggesting things to help how you might move things forward. Then focusing in on the second point on this slide, the quick actions. And again, it seems so simple, but it's so helpful. The note attached to this particular contact says, I've typed in the words, meet with counts to discuss the budget. Well, a human would know that that's probably a meeting. So AI suggests that when AI scans that text, AI figures out that I probably want to create an appointment and pops up with a little message box saying, shall I create an appointment for you? And we click the edit or create button. So all of these things are going to be helping us moving forward.
They're just going to get smarter and smarter as well, aren't they? They're eventually it'll work out the best time for the appointment. And
absolutely, yeah. And it will know when you're on holiday and all those things. Yeah, Okay, so then those are the modifications to the things that we can see. Those are the features and enhancements to the things that we can see in the interface. And there's more. So I've just picked some of my favorites. But there's other changes that are happening that we need to know about. So one of the things that makes all of this intelligence possible is having all of the data in one place. So on the next slide, I haven't got the slides out of order particularly because I wanted to talk about this first, but I'm going to be talking about the common data model. So the common data model is moving all of our data from our various places into one common place. So that, as we can imagine, will make the artificial intelligence stuff work better because it's only got one place to analyze. But also it enables us to very easily achieve some building solutions using different interfaces in a much more easier, much more joined up way. And this is with Power Apps. So I need to talk a little bit about Power Apps, and anybody that has upgraded to CRM 8.2 already and gone into customizations to do some customizations in their CRM, you'll notice that all of a sudden the customizations now says Power Apps at the top. And at first when we saw that, we thought, oh, that's a bit odd. But what that means is, or what that's hinting at is, we will use Power Apps to build solutions for customers. Okay, so whether we're building solutions so whether we're building mobile solutions, mobile phone solutions, as we've currently done with Power Apps for a few of the customers, and we use a few internally ourselves, but also the solutions that we build for our customers now today using CRM, that will also be under the banner of Power Apps. The difference being mobile apps, so where we can build screens and get pixel perfect design of the screens. That's what's being referred to as canvas apps. So that's what we currently know today as mobile apps or tablet apps. Then the way that we develop solutions for customers today with CRM, that paradigm is going to be known as model-driven apps. So what this means is Power Apps is going to be the tool that we use to build solutions, whether it's using screens and workflow and security and reports in the same way as what we currently today term as CRM, or whether we're building completely free-flowing, free-form mobile apps. The difference being canvas apps, mobile apps, model-driven apps, what we currently know as CRM. And all of those apps, the data that underpins all of those is going to be in this thing called the common data model. Okay, so where is that going? Well, it seems clear to me that because Power Apps is going to be the tool that we use to develop apps, then if we're building a model-driven app, so for example, one of the people that's on the call at the moment, Kerry, for Kerry, we developed a shop visit app. Okay, so to look after stores and to make sure that the sales guys have the right conversations with the store owners. That's not a typical CRM. That's not a customer relationship management system. That's a store visit application. So when we developed that, we turned off accounts and contacts and opportunities and invoices and orders and products and all that stuff that normally comes along with the CRM. We turned all that stuff off and we just built an app for her using CRM. Well, going forward, what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to use a model-driven Power App to build that application for her, but not have all of that baggage of a typical CRM system. So not have all of the accounts and contacts and all of that sort of stuff that today comes pre-canned. All of that stuff will be turned off, and it will just be a SKU that you're able to buy from Microsoft to build from the ground up. The advantage of that, of course, is you get the screen designer, you get the report designer, you get workflow security, all that stuff. And then, because that data that underpins that will be in the common data model, we can then build canvas apps and mobile apps for the sales guys to go out and visit and just say yes, okay, store visit done, spoke about that, done, all through a pixel perfect, good looking mobile app. So common data model then. Okay, so what the common data model is exactly as it might sound, really. It's a new place where Microsoft is going to be storing the data for our Power Apps, our Dynamics, our Canvas, our model-driven apps. And so if during the design of the solution, we establish that we do actually need an account entity and a contact entity, then we'll be able to turn those entities on through the common data model, and they'll be available to us whilst we're building the solution. But also, importantly, that same table of data is also available to AX or NAV or Business Central. So all of the other applications within the Microsoft Business Solutions stack will all use the common data model. So that means artificial intelligence will now only have one place to go to find out who the accounts are and who the contacts are and which contacts are related to which accounts. It's just got one place to go. That's beneficial for report writers. So the guys within your business that write reports don't now have to go off to the ERP system to get in the account data and the CRM system to get in the account data from there, figure out how to splice it together, figure out how to dedupe it and all those things, because we now have one place to go that defines what an account is, and that account record and the construction of that entity is just shared across the entire platform. Now, of course, those amongst you that can see the complications of that are going to find it difficult to see how we can get there. But if you start to think about just one place that's got all of the attributes that are required across all of these platforms in one place, yeah, okay, it might be quite a wide record, but it's definitely the way to go. And we can see how AI will benefit from that. We can see how integration will benefit from that, because we don't have to sync and integrate and merge data anymore. It's going to be an interesting journey getting there, but it's certainly the right place to go, the right direction to go.
So you say it's a journey, Mark. So are there still steps for Microsoft to reach this vision, or how much of it is there this October, do you think?
Well, we're seeing the common data model appear now. So if you start a new trial, you'll see, or so we create a new instance within your Office 365, you'll see that the common data model is available for you now to start building applications. So it's coming. What I'm not clear on is how we're going to get from today to tomorrow. I don't know yet, and until we start doing it and start learning from those experiences, I can't answer your question. So yeah, I'm looking forward to actually doing that on some of our instances with CRM, as we normally do our learning there, our actual practical learning, rather than just reading how to do it, and then sharing that experience with the customers.
Great.
Okay, so crashing on from the common data model and looking at the time, I want to talk about how we can achieve some of the deeper integrations with some of the other Microsoft Office solutions that we've got. As I alluded to earlier on in the call, I was recently at Microsoft conference, and absolutely every presentation I went to somehow crowbarred Microsoft Teams into the presentation, even if it was completely inappropriate. I mean, I went to a presentation skills presentation, and you can be the judge of whether I gained anything from that presentation skills or not. But one thing I did learn is that it's perfectly possible to shoehorn Teams into every single presentation, because he even did it in the presentation skills one. So Teams is the next big thing for Microsoft. It's the thing that they're gunning for Slack with. And as such, Microsoft have released a free version of Teams that will integrate directly with the paid for version of Teams. And if you have not touched it yet, if you've not used it, you should start to get some experience with Teams. I've spoken with Mark, and we're thinking of putting together an introduction to Teams webinar, because it's the next big thing. Microsoft are banging on about it continuously. We need to start using it. So how does Teams fit into the Dynamics story? Well, we're going to get, in the October release, tight integration between Teams and Microsoft Dynamics. So the screenshot here shows us that we've got a a team called A Datum Corporation Teams, and within that team, so I'm looking in the panel on the left-hand side, within that team I've got a channel called Mountain Bikes. The mountain bikes channel relates to an opportunity that we're talking about because we want to get some mountain bikes into the organization. So what we've done here is we've directly related this channel to the opportunity record in Dynamics for mountain bikes. And what this means, if reading the release guide from Microsoft, is if you literally take it for what it says, is this means members of the team, regardless of where they are, so they might be external people using the free version of Teams, they can interact with this record within Dynamics, okay? I'll be surprised if that ends up being true. I'll be surprised if Microsoft are actually going to let anybody, even those without a Dynamics license, interact with Dynamics data. And I've been burnt with that sort of thing in the past. But if reading the release document word for word is to be interpreted the way it's written, then it does sound as if people are finally, even people without a Dynamics license, are going to be able to interact with the Dynamics data. So that's great. It gives clarity to the team about which opportunity is we're talking about. And then with Teams, we're going to be able to have conversations about this opportunity, upload files relating to it, upload, the documentation relating to it, and yeah, have chats, and we can integrate another product called Microsoft Planner into Teams, so we can start planning activities around it and so on. So yeah, it's a great integration that I'm looking forward to being able to use. So that's it really from the things that the bits that I pulled out about what's coming in October in terms of the application itself. But it is important that we talk about how the upgrades are going to happen. Microsoft have announced in this blog here, so we'll send out these PowerPoint slides, or we'll send these links out to all attendees. But so it's important that you read that. But I've pulled out some things about the new release cadence. But importantly, as highlighted in red, really upgrades can't be skipped. Everybody that is a customer or that has Microsoft Dynamics must stay up to date. Okay, they're going to be doing releases twice a year, April and October, and those releases will, of course, contain new features and functions. And what I'm taking from that, because they've specifically said that, because yes, so what's new? That's always been the case, but the dates are different, but that's always been the case. What I'm taking from that is features and functions won't just sneak in mid-year, not mid-year, in between releases, which sometimes happens. Sometimes we can wake up one morning and we find a new feature has hit us in CRM just overnight. It sounds like those are only going to hit us in the prescribed twice yearly updates. That said, what will continue to hit us frequently is bug fixes and performance upgrades. We've been made aware of that. All updates will be backwardly compatible so long as that all customizations have been done to published Microsoft recognized standards. And of course, anything that we do as Crimson do for you, that is always the case. We're very strict on that, sometimes to the detriment of the solution that we provide, but we're strict on that because of this. Any new features that hit us that might disrupt the customer's experience will be off by default, will be switched off by default, and then you will have the ability to switch them on. To help with that, you will get the opportunity to upgrade a sandbox instance prior to the upgrade to your production actually happening. So you can look at those things that are being released, switch them on, make sure that you're happy with them, and then of course train your users accordingly. So how will you know what the new features are? Well, for this October release, we got the document in the end of June. So a couple of months before, you'll get to find out what the changes are and plan for how you're going to be implementing those. Anybody, this is an important one, anybody that's currently on 8.2, you must upgrade by the 31st of January. But you've been getting emails about that, and a lot of people have been talking with our support guys about that, so we're all aware of that. And all of these updates are made possible because of the Common Data Service that we've been talking about. So that's me finished babbling on. Thank you for listening. I'll hand back to Mark just to close off. Any questions, please get in touch.
Yep, thank you very much, Mark. Just to remind everybody, we do run a number of workshops for customers. So if you're not already on Dynamics 365 and you're interested in learning how that could work in your organization, we do run an Assess to Progress workshop where you can meet with the team. They'll explain important features that are pertinent to the way your business works, and then help guide you really towards a plan for moving to Dynamics 365. In addition, we do also run upgrade assessments. So perhaps you're on an on-premise version of CRM at the moment, and you're thinking of moving over into the cloud. Or maybe you're just needing some hand-holding with moving to this next upgrade, and you want to understand how you can take full advantage of some of the new features and more that have been described today. So what I'd advise you to do is speak to your account manager about those workshops. They can provide you with some more information about that. Alternatively, feel free to drop me an email. My email address is on the screen at the moment, and I'll be more than happy to share some more information with you that way. We're really keen to do more of these types of webinars. And if you've got any suggestions for what you'd like to see in future webinars, please drop me a line. I'm more than happy to explore different options. If Teams is something, as Mark Cotton mentioned earlier, something that you'd really like to have a look at, we'd be more than happy